You know, I've done a couple of videos on why motorcyclists should get scooters. There's just something to the scooter that I really like. They're so approachable. And, you know, in a world where there's so many jackasses going in and out of traffic and doing wheelies on the beltway and doing all of this kind of like, hey, I'm self-entitled. The scooter is kind of like a breath of fresh air where you are only getting the very basics of motorcycling. You know, nowadays you get a motorcycle and it's got all of these bells and whistles. You know, ABS, it's got heated grips, this, that. But the very basics, what people got into motorcycling, has been lost. And people now have like 200 horsepower motorcycles, but why? This thing, I like the idea of doing more with less, and I think that's why I like scooters. But also, it's the ability of being stealthy. I just love the idea of going to DC on a scooter, automatic transmission. You don't have to shift. Your clutch hand does not get worn out. You simply just have to hang on and just concentrate on riding. You can even drink coffee. I don't know, there's like something really cool about that. Shifting is great. I like the mechanical aspect of motorcycle riding. Like my Super Tenere has got that very mechanical style, and I like it. But if you've ridden as much as me and you've commuted so many years, you know, having to clutch it in bumper-to-bumper traffic is not fun, especially if you live in the DC metro area where there's so much traffic everywhere. And everywhere you go, you just get tons of traffic and you're going like 10 miles an hour. Now there's like 50s you can get, there's 110s, 150s, 200s. The 150 really is a very perfect size of scooter. Scooter life is really cool, and what kept me from buying scooters before was really the idea of paying $2,000 for a scooter. Look at that thing. Paying for a scooter for $2,000 when you can get like a Ninja 250 for $1,000. But I've commuted a lot, and just the nature of sitting as if you do a chair on a scooter is so much better for commuting rather than straddling a bike. And I've had a maxi scooter, I've had many different type of bikes, and I really enjoy these. The flat floorboard on these scooters is really nice because you can carry things. So if you're really a commuter, you can carry your bags, you can carry your groceries there. But I really like this, and of course these get like 90 to 100 miles to the gallon, and gas is getting more expensive. I also wouldn't mind doing a tour on this, you know, get some bags and just head out there. Also, another super great thing about scooters is that even if you have a scooter like this that's a road bike, you can take it off-road. They're so light, you can pretty much just power through most obstacles. And of course you don't have a lot of ground clearance, but the idea that you can get a very light bike like this is just kind of like commute. I'm seriously considering selling my Africa Twin in Europe and getting a scooter like this that you would do on a motorcycle. But that's not the point of scooters. You know, scooters are not meant to like go around corners fast, but they're fun enough. You know, if you only had a scooter to kind of get around, it would be fun. But when you have a motorcycle, they're much more fun, especially a motorcycle with lots of power. You can kind of squeeze out of the corners. Scooters don't have that. It's a different mentality when you're riding. I would have to say that most of the scooter life is a benefit. I think the only major downside is the image, but if you're okay with your masculinity, you're not going to have an issue riding scooters. You know, the guys that are always butthurt about other guys riding scooters. They're very insecure. We all know it. But the people, the motorcycle riders that are pretending that you are somehow feminine or gay for riding a scooter, we all know it, they're insecure, right? They're the same people that are most oftentimes questioning their sexuality, and buying a motorcycle for them might be the last resort and their last try of heterosexuality. But if you're okay with riding a scooter, there are some other things, like for example slower speed. The handling is not as crisp as you would get on a motorcycle because of the frame. There is a little bit more frame flex on a scooter. But if you're okay with some of those downsides, scooters are just so much more practical than a motorcycle. They're so much more comfortable, they're reliable, they're very easy to work on, the parts are cheap. It's just, and by the way, this Honda SH150 has got a reputation for accumulating lots of miles, like 70,000-80,000, and that's a very small engine, and that's a lot of miles on a tiny little scooter. Another super benefit of scooters is that even with the faster scooters, you do not need to worry about cops, because cops, I think they would be embarrassed if they were really ticketing scooter riders. So they're not out to get scooter riders. They're mostly out to get douchebag motorcycle riders. So, by the way, I'm one of those douchebags, so I can absolutely understand this. Yeah, I do wonder why even get a motorcycle. I mean, this bike is so competent. The Elite Nintendo that he's riding is just a little bit slower. But I think what I find is that if you don't mind taking your time, and in a way, for me, look, here's the thing. I have a hard time controlling my speed, and often I am always riding aggressively. And that's why I like the scooter life as well, because I don't have that weird pressure that I put on myself to ride fast. On a scooter, it's okay to ride slow, but on a motorcycle, I always kind of have to push it a little bit. I'm very responsible in many ways, but riding a motorcycle for me, and especially if you ride with other riders, you kind of get caught in this think mentality. But I like the idea of going around corners fast and kind of pushing it a little bit. But on a scooter, no matter how fast they are, I can always be at a more relaxed pace, and in a way that makes them a lot safer. A 150 gives you a lot for the money. It's still a very small scooter, but yet it looks small, and it looks like it's got enough power to commute on a everyday sort of basis. So in a way, if you get a 150, you get the best of both worlds. You do have that motorcycling ability, but yet it still looks tiny enough that you can get away with scooter-like activities. The Vespas, they have that going. I really enjoy Vespas, but they're very pricey. So even though I'm going at a slower pace than I would on a motorcycle, I'm having just as much fun. And I've come through here in various motorcycles, even popping wheelies off of corners. And yeah, it's fun. It's extremely fun. Oh, I should have gone the other way. It would have been a little bit easier. But we're almost at High Rock. This thing is just as fun as any other bike. That's the silly thing. You think that you wouldn't have as much fun, but you do have fun as a motorcycle rider. Scooters are such a different style of riding that it makes it so much more fun, and they're more agile than cruisers. So if you like the idea of cruising around, you can kind of do both. You can be a hooligan on a scooter, or you can be a cruiser on a scooter. I'm surprised that all of these guys with the tats, hey, oh my god, the chipmunk, I almost killed that chipmunk. All of these guys with tattoos, I wish they would sell their hogs. You want to do more gravel?
I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally use a scooter like this for the type of riding I do on the Super 10 Ray. Sure, the Super 10 Ray's got like a bash plate, crash bars, but this thing is just so much more maneuverable. I like the idea of the dual sport ADVs quite a bit, and I wish that the Honda ADV 150 was a little bit better for off-road riding, a little bit more suspension. I think that's the problem. They just gave it a little bit of a look. I crashed a drug dealer's motorcycle. That's a long story. Where is this? This is kind of fascinating. It's so isolated. It's so awesome to ride a scooter, especially like with a group of scooters. Whenever you go for a scooter ride, it's so much better than a motorcycle ride. Look, I've been to probably like 100 group rides. There's always like a sausage measuring contest happening, but on a scooter ride, it's kind of like whatever. It's all about riding. It's all about like looking around, and it feels kind of cool to be a hooligan on a scooter. It used to be the same thing with the supermotos before they caught on. You know, you could do pop wheelies, just be like loud. But the scooter is the opposite. It's like a reverse hooligan with hooligan tendencies. The interesting thing about the SH150 is that it really corners very similarly to a motorcycle. I think the only downside is that, oh, we went this way. The only downside is the suspension is kind of terrible. And I am very interested in perhaps changing out the suspension. One lane bridge. Specifically wanted to come here so I could show him this covered bridge. I don't think he's ever seen one. Hell yeah. I think he's honking. I think he needs to stop or something. Look at that, there's a hot air balloon over there. Man, this day is full of surprises. Alright, we are back in Damascus, and we're going to fill up for the third time. This is like a fashion show. All the fancy cars are coming here and just like driving at night. That's the end of another ride. I really appreciate you guys coming out on a ride with me, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Kind of stuck here. The cops won't bother me.